My name is Mahdi, and my partner's name is Arnan, and this is our health and fitness club management system for COMP3005. So, just a quick note before we get started. All of the work was completed together and split equally, but for the sake of a fluid presentation, we have decided to split the video in chunks. So, I'll be going over the diagrams and a quick introduction. Arnon will be going over the code, and then I'll be going through the demonstration at the end. This doesn't mean I did the diagrams in its entirety and he did the code by himself. We split the work equally. We have just decided that having plenty of cuts across the video would be less fluid and make it a little more confusing. So we're going to go run through it in its entirety separately. So when we started this project, we decided that we are going to implement the ORM bonus. And the best way we found to do that was to use SQL Alchemy ORM. And so we had to take a look at all the roles that were stated in the project descriptions. So the member, the trainer, and the admin. So just to quickly go over the entity relationship diagram, because that was the source of us getting started. So quickly, we have 10 entities: trainer availability, health metric, fitness goal, member, trainer, fitness class, room, class registration, personal training session, and admin. These were the 10 that we found to be the most critical. And between them, we have a bunch of relationships. I'll quickly go over them. We have trainer has an availability, member has health metrics, he has fitness goals, member registers for a class, member books a personal training session, and a trainer conducts a personal training session. A trainer teaches a class. A fitness class is hosted in a room, and a personal training session is hosted in a room. And so this is our entity diagram. Next, we had to map it to our relational schema, and we decided to do it in a way that resembles what we did in assignment 2. For the entity diagram, we decided to make it a little more simple just because having the bubbles all over the place would have been a little bit confusing in the Shen notation. So we went with tables. And the relational schema helps us see where the foreign keys are interconnected. And this is our relational schema. So it looks a little bit confusing, but it helped us visualize how to connect our tables together. And Arnon will go over it a bit as to how the code implements this as members. So, or sorry, models. So before we get to the code, I quickly want to go over our process of getting there. So we decided to first implement all the operations before looking at the role division. So what do I mean by that is that admins, for example, don't have metrics. They shouldn't schedule personal training sessions. But we wanted to make sure all our operations were working and completed before assigning roles. And so this is the first iteration of our health and fitness club management system. It's just a single page that allows you to complete any of the roles, any of the operations, even if you don't have the right role. Obviously, this isn't our final product, but we wanted to give a visual representation of how we built it up iteratively. And we decided that the best way to implement this would be to create a login for each member before starting their operation. That way, we can filter each operation depending on the role. Arnon will go over the code next, and then I'll be back after to show you what our final UI looks like.
Okay, so we're gonna go over the project structure for this, or the structure for the project. So everything lives in the app folder. So the configuration, database layer, ORM models, repositories for all the access, routers for the API, and the HTML templates, static files for the UI. I'll start with how it's organized, and I'll show you the ORM stuff that defines, and then creating the database and schema, or the database schema, sorry. So let's start over here. So config.py holds all the configuration for the database connection. So the host, port, name, username, password are here with the environment variable overrides. Um, and then there's also an use ORM flag to switch between the regular raw version of the things, and then the ORM version. Um, so next is main.py. So this is the application entry point. It creates the fast API app, configures templates using Jinja, mounts the static folder for JavaScript and CSS, and then creates all the routers. So for admins, members and trainers, the auth for login, and then the UI for the little web interface thing that we have. This is how we run it, just this command right here. Next is the ORM, the DB underscore ORM. This defines the SQL Alchemy engine, the session local factory, and then the shared base class for all ORM models. All the ORM code imports the session from here, so the database configuration is centralized. Um, this raw underscore py is a small helper module for the Psi COP2 connections. It exposes get connection and a content manager if I want to run lower level SQL. The main implementation we're using is ORM, so but this supports just the alternative SQL repositories. Next is the ORM models. So inside the models folder, there's the ORM models.py and the schemas.py. ORM models contains all the entity classes. Each class maps directly to a database table, and then relationships describe how the tables are linked. I'll come back in a minute for the definition part, the database text definition part, but we'll move on to schemas. So this is the pydantic models for requests and responses. For example, if I find member response or what's it called? Member register request. Where did I find that? I just read that. Oh, there it is. It's up there. This describes what the API expects in JSON, and then member dashboard or trainer schedule item, for example, like this, describe what endpoints return. So now we'll go to repositories. So the repositories folder is the data access layer, so it separates. So we have separate repository files for the members, admins, and trainers. They contain pure database logic, so they're called by the routers. So in members underscore orm.py, there's register member and add health metric, and a little further down, there's schedule PT session. These all open an SQL Alchemy session, manipulate the ORM objects, commit, and then return the IDs. So yeah, like right here, returns the ID. Um, After that, we have the routers for the API endpoints. So from here, we have members.py. So the routers folder defines all the HTTP endpoints. Each router corresponds to one role or like action. So admins for obviously admin operations, authentication for authenticating, UI for the HTML pages, and then members and trainers for their respective roles and operations. Um, the what's it called? Yeah, I'll look at showing a quick example. There's like a post here for member metrics. So just like this, and then there's get request as well. This like this one for availability. Um, and then the HTML pages are all right here. So the base is a sort of like shared layout that all the pages follow, and then the home is the home page. Um, then home is the home page, and then login handles all the login authenticating for the three roles um, through the files that I just went over like 2 seconds ago. And then main.js is all the like front end JavaScript calls to the fast API endpoints. So it like reads the logged in role and user ID from local storage and fetches the like specific dashboard that was requested and then posts posts forms to the backend. So I mean normal stuff. We can do okay init underscore db.py. So this is the like initialization script. So this runs once at the very beginning. You run it with python dash m. Well, I can type. Uh, you run it like that, and that initializes all the databases. So it runs once, it connects via SQL Alchemy, drops any existing tables, and then recreates them from the ORM models that we just went over. creates the view, trigger, and indexes, and then seeds the database with some sample admins, which and like sample rooms like here. These are some sample rooms. Um, so if we go, okay, so from now, okay, I'll stay between this file and then I think this one is what I'll stick with to go over the database definitions. So in ORM underscore models.py, there are, because we're using the ORM, the database is defined in these Python classes instead of a DDL.SQL file. So the main, I'll just walk through the main entities. So there's class member, trainer, and admin. So in class member, where is that? Here it is. It maps the member to the member table with the primary key member ID and attributes like name, date of birth, email, and then the password hash. It also has relationships to health metrics, fitness goals, PT sessions, and class registration, because those are things that members can have or do. Uh, Class trainer and the admin class are basically the same thing as before. Then there's the room and fitness classes. So these are like room, for example, stores a gym with a capacity, and then fitness class it represents is like group class with like a start time, a capacity, and then foreign keys linking trainers to the trainers and rooms to those fitness classes. The relationships or registrations relationship connects each class to the members who have signed up. And then you have PT session. So that's a one-on-one session between a member and a trainer with a start time and an end time, and then foreign keys for member, trainer, and room. Um, that's kind of it. Then there's registration. So yeah, class registration is let's find it. There it is. It's a many-to-many table join between members and classes. It uses the composite primary key on member ID and class ID. Where is it? There it is. And has a registered at timestamp with a default value. So every enrollment is timestamped at least somewhat. And then yeah, then there's trainer availability, stores the availability windows for trainers with start times and end times, and links back to the trainer through a foreign key. So these define the full relational schema, tables, columns, keys, and relationships all in ORM form. And then if we go back to init underscore DB, we'll scroll to seed that. So this creates, this is a seed database. It's used to, populate all the tables. So if we go to here, base dot meta. So this drops all the old tables and then creates tables directly from the ORM models and classes. And then if we go down to here, like admin, so these are two uh, sample admins that you can use and like interact with the system through. This is John admin and then Sarah manager. Um, and then that's basically it for that. And it's the same thing with rooms, trainers. I went over this a little bit briefly. Members, there's a bunch of sample people created just to fill in the database. Um, and then if we go to create underscore this. So this is the only place where we use handwritten SQL for the more complicated things like member view dashboard and then the check class capacity trigger function. Um, these are done here in SQL instead of in what's it called? The ORM way like the other ones are. But this call is called once from C database so that the view trigger and indexes are created immediately after the tables. So yeah, that's basically it. The ORM classes in ORM underscore models.py, this file, define the schema, and then this file calls create all and seeds the table with the ORM objects instead of DDL files and creates a small amount of raw SQL that's used for the dashboard trigger and indexes. So that's it. And I think now we'll go to the UI explanation.
Now let's cover the most important part, the actual UI. So, as I mentioned earlier, we decided the best way to implement the roles was to make the user log in as their specific role. So let's say we were an admin and we go to the login for admin. If we try Alice, which is a member, it won't log in. Alice is an admin. But if I try admin, there we go. We can log in. And we can show that real quick just on Postgres. I won't do this for every role just because we're short on time, but I can show you for this one. if I go to all rows, we can see that johnadmin or admin@gym.com is the correct login email and its password is hashed. So that's why we can log in here. So we can click check database to make sure the database is healthy, as I checked earlier, and it is. And let's create a room. So let's go video test, and then we'll give it a capacity of 10. Let's create that room. Perfect, it exists. Let's list the rooms we have. All right, and there's our room video test. Quickly, I'll go over it one more time. If we go to room and we view our rows, video test now exists. Perfect, so our database works. So we can create another class. Let's call it video class. And then the start time will be today. Let's do right now. And let's do it in the morning. So capacity of 10. Let's assign trainer 1 to it, and let's put it in room 1. And let's read the class. Perfect, it exists. Let's list our classes. And just like that, it is right here, video class. Once again, I can show it here. If I go to class, view data, video class is right there. Perfect. Now let's move on to trainer. Same thing here. If I try to use the admin login, it won't work. But if I try to use Sarah, which is a trainer, it lets us log in. Perfect. And Sarah is trainer 1, which was autofilled. Let's fetch schedule. Perfect. We can see her schedule here. And she's trainer 1, obviously. Let's start a new availability. She's available in 1 hour. Let's try that. Here we are. Let's do 8 p.m. And she's only available for 2 hours. So let's do all right. Let's create the availability. Perfect. Now we should be seeing this change here once I clicked list availability. All right, so there it is, available at 8 p.m. and she's done at 10 p.m. So this is what we just created. Perfect. And this is the trainer dashboard. So finally, let's go cover the member dashboard. So as I was saying, let's cover the member. So we're going to try here, and obviously let's log in as an admin once again, just to make sure, invalid credential, and let's log in as Alice. So perfect. So let's fetch our dashboard just to get a summary of some of our details. So we have the name Alice, we have the latest metric we updated, which was our weight, and that was 147. We're registered in 3 classes, and we have 1 personal training session coming up. So let's update our weight. Alice has been eating a lot lately. She jumped up by 13 pounds. Perfect. So we've now updated, and let's fetch our dashboard again if possible. Let's just refresh it. Now we are 160. Perfect. Okay, so let's schedule a personal training session in room 2, and let's do it tomorrow. I have time tomorrow. Let's do, actually, tomorrow's December. Time flies. So let's do it tomorrow at 6 a.m. This is our New Year's resolution in advance. So we're going to do 12:01, and we only want an hour. We have to get to work. And let's schedule that. Perfect. That's scheduled. And now, if I fetch dashboard once again, I might have to refresh it. Let's fetch dashboard. We should have 2 personal training sessions now, when earlier we had 1. Perfect. So that works as well. And we're going to register for class. Let's go class 4. Perfect. We're registered. And here, once again, we are registered for 3. If I refresh this, classes registered, we have 4. Perfect. So everything here works. Let's say you wanted to join the gym. So let's register. Let's call it myself. I want to join this gym. Let's call it We don't need to put the full name. Let's just do that. And then I was born in 2004. So let's put my date of birth. And I'm a male. Let's put in my email. And even, oh, let's put in even my real phone number. And we're going to put password here. So let's register. Okay. That's embarrassing. Passwords do not match. At least we know that works too. Let me switch this. And we're going to set them both to password. It'll be simple. Perfect. We're now registered. Let's save that just so it'll be easy. And let's log in. Oh, email. Sorry, I'm asleep at the wheel. Let's put in the correct email associated with the account. Now let's log in. Perfect. So our member exists. Let's fetch our dashboard. We have no metric. Nothing has been set. So let's set our weight to 300. And so there we go. We can also create members. And so this was our health and fitness club management run through. We believe we've implemented all the operations. Although some aren't here, if you'd like to see all the operations we've implemented, they are available in the health and fitness club management. We had to trim some of them out to fit on this website. Thank you.